I think when we watched Monday night, what went down with the Lakers without Luka Doncic, Jason, we have something for you. It's the debate ender with Jason Gallagher. Okay, Maze, would you like to present what happened on Monday night that is the Luka Doncic disqualifier from the MVP conversation?
Sure. So, Jason, last week, Tom, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Tom is a big asterisk guy. Everything deserves an asterisk.
I always enjoy Tom's asterisk articles.
So last week we did asterisks for all the MVP candidates, and it mostly related to your lineup without the MVP and their success. And we pitched that the Lakers had an excellent opportunity on board with games against the Pacers, the Nets, and the Wizards. Give Luka the night off, blow it, look terrible, MVP conversation locked up. And what do? Luka's out Monday night because of technicals, and they win by 20.
Dumbass.
What?
Idiots.
What?
It's over.
And then you got JJ giving this half-assed debate, saying, "Oh well, you know, 1/3." First of all, his math is off on the amount of time that Luka was the MVP for. But he said that if Luka was the MVP of the first third and this most recent third, then therefore 2/3, obviously Luka's the MVP. Yeah. But what do you think about them blowing this opportunity to lose to the Wizards to really cement the case?
The funniest thing about this whole debate has been all these dudes are awesome and they're all playing incredible. And instead, all we're doing is just ripping all of them down to try to lift another one of them up to make a case. And it's like that, if you go down the line, like the Wemby stuff, possibly the greatest per minute impact in the history of the NBA, possibly. If you dig into like what he's doing defensively and the types of, like, you have a bunch of young guards who really can't shoot and they're just generating amazing looks every time down the floor because you have to send everybody at this guy when he rolls to the rim. Or Shea hitting 52 clutch shots this year and hitting 3 more last night. And like every single game, it's just like, oh, it's a close game late. Shea's just going to hit every damn shot he takes and you're going to lose. Or Luka looking like the best player in the world for the last month, or Jokic looking like the best player of the world in Denver or in December. Like they all have their stretches where they look amazing and we're just spending this time cutting them down. And then now every guy's making their pitch to the media, and like Shea with the most predictable "I let my game do the talking" bit that was bound to come which amazing. Literally just came because he went last. If he would have been asked first, whoever got asked last would have been the guy who would have said that.
Dropping 47 doesn't hurt either, right?
It doesn't hurt. And that was insane. I don't know, like against all those awesome Detroit perimeter defenders too. Just an absolutely outrageous performance from Shea. But yeah, like the thing that's killing me with the Luka piece is like I cover the Lakers most closely because I have my national show, which I cover the entire league. But then I do Lakers Collective with Jovan Buha and Trevor Lane. And so twice a week, we just talk Lakers. And obviously, I root for the Lakers, so they're a team that I watch the most frequently out of any team in the league. And so I vividly remember how I felt about this team at every point in the season. Like, there's no... I can remember every single kind of iteration and era of this team through the line. And like, yeah, there were lineup issues and yeah, there were injuries and roster turnover from last year and various different things that went wrong for the Lakers. But like all season long, even though the Lakers had a good record, everyone thought they were bad, including Lakers fans, because every time they played somebody good, they didn't just lose. They got their ass kicked. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on the show, but like they got their ass kicked. And like, guys, the Golden State Warriors have a better point differential against teams in the top 10 in point differential than the Lakers do this year. And that's after the Lakers went on this run in March where they kicked all those good teams' butts for a while. Like the Lakers were literally getting like, and here's the thing with these top tier superstars, and this is what drives me crazy. You constantly hear people talking about like, well, look at the numbers they're putting up. This goes back to the LeBron James thing. I think LeBron James got ripped off of MVP one time, and it was 2020, the year that the Lakers played a way tougher schedule and LeBron was just better than Giannis, and they were like 2 or 3 games back in the standings, and Giannis was just beating the crap out of terrible teams every single night and juicing his advanced metrics, and LeBron should have won MVP. But if you talk to LeBron fans, what do they always say? Well, what about 2017? What about 2016, 2018, 2019? Like every LeBron fan thinks he should have won every MVP. Why? Because it's like, did you look at his numbers? He averaged 27, 7, and 7 on 62% true shooting or whatever it is, because he's LeBron James. And in my entire time watching NBA basketball, the true top tier guys always put up monster numbers. They just do. They fill the box score like nobody's business. Even Jokic has unquestionably been not close to as good since coming back from his knee injury as he was in December. But you look at his numbers and they're outrageously good, because that's what the top tier superstars do. And so what bothers me is, like, I remember watching Luka for that middle huge chunk of the season. And yes, he was putting up numbers, but he was bad defensively. Wasn't all his fault. The team was bad defensively, but Luka was culpable. He wasn't the leader of the team that was setting the tone and trying to get the guys to play hard on defense, and no one was meeting him at that level. That's not what was happening. Okay. And like, when you go through a stretch where you lose 12 out of 13 games against teams with 60+% win percentages, and your one win is against the Nuggets without Jokic, and you just get your butt kicked in the majority of those games, you don't get to then pull the, like, we're the 3 seed card. Look at where we are in the standings. Like, you guys looked like a good team for 1 month. That's how long you looked like a good team. How many times has a guy held up the MVP trophy when for 5 of the 6 months of the NBA season, we're like,
well, according to JJ Redick, right?
Their first round exit.
According to JJ, it's 2 of the 3 segments of the season he's been in the MVP.
He was good to start the season. He was great to start the season. He was.
15-4 start, 19 games, 14-2 since February 28th, 16 games. That's less than half the games. And he said 2 of the 3 segments of the season.
Well, would you describe it like that? When you say segments of the season, no one's saying how long a segment is. You just start the segment where he was good, segment was bad, and that segment he's good again.
It's just crazy. It's crazy because, like, I remember what it was like. Like, I remember during that stretch doing my Lakers show twice a week. I saw the chat. I saw how Lakers fans were talking about the team. I saw the comments and the fire Rob Pelinka and we need to completely rebuild this roster and all this different stuff. And the thing is yeah, it's been really cool. As someone who roots for the team, you don't think I'm having fun right now? I'm having fun. I can't wait for that Cavs game tonight. I enjoy watching the Lakers for the first time in years. This team has been a chore to watch over the course of the last several years that I've been rooting for them. Like, I'm as happy as anybody, but why are we pretending like that's not what happened? Like, it blows my mind. And the last thing I'll say about it is, like, again, it's about the standard. Like, I do think what Luka's done with the Lakers in the aggregate this year, even including the stretches where he wasn't as good, has been super impressive. It's not as impressive as what Wemby has done with the Spurs this year, and it's not as impressive as Shea walking down every team in the final 5 minutes of every game. Like, it just hasn't been as impressive. And so, yeah, like, and what bothers me the most is I say Luka might be the best player in the world right now. When he's at his best, like, I genuinely believe when Luka's got his step back 3 going, he's the best player in the world. And he's playing defense. When he's playing defense and he's got his step back 3 going, there's no player that can reach the level of overall impact as him, because he brings, like, the Steph Curry nuclear 3-point, like, upside of, like, what if he just hits 5 threes in the next 5 minutes? But then he also brings the bully ball, like, short range shot making that you get from Jokic, and the playmaking that you get from Jokic, the mid range versatility that you get from Shea. And he is an impactful off ball defender when he's engaged. And he's actually been pretty good in ISO this year, a lot better than people think. But, like, his ceiling is his ceiling. It's not what he was at for the majority of this season. And I think it's okay to be like, yeah, Luka might be the guy right now, but he's not the MVP. And it's just been crazy to me to see the stuff that I've seen from Lakers fans in the last few days. The revisionist history has been out of control.
Dude, you know what we're doing? We're doing James Harden arguments from like 7 years ago. It's exactly the same thing that happened. Remember the first Giannis versus Harden year, and Harden said, "Oh, if I wish I was 6'11" and could just truck everybody."
Oh
or whatever.
My God, I clipped that last week, and the ending of that interview is so sad. I mean, because Rachel Nichols is like, "You think a title is going to turn this around for you?" He's like, "Yeah, and I'm gonna get it."
Oh no, I forgot all about that, Andy.
Nope.
But it was the same thing that season because I was a voter that year, and I remember I voted Giannis over Harden, and people would ask me why. I said because look, Harden has had, if you remember, right after the All-Star break, he was crazy towards the end of that season, and I said, man,
was that the 40-point stretch where he was?
I said his peak has been higher than Giannis's peak this entire season, but he started this season horseshit. And the one thing I can say about Giannis is like, however you want to quibble about his game or what he's done, it's like he's been consistently that guy from opening tip on opening night all the way through the last game of the regular season, whereas Harden did a lot of this right here.
Well, that's because Giannis is 7 feet tall and all he's got to do is run and dunk.
And also Harden had been better in 2 out of the 3 segments of the season, depending on how
and Daryl pointed that out.
But it's even like the shit you were saying. I'm listening to you. You're like, when he's got that 3-pointer going, I'm like, kind of like Harden when he had like there are nights where Harden that step back 3 is like it's unstoppable, and then there are nights where it's like I'm glad he didn't drive, and there's a reason, and that's why he shoots 36% from 3 and not 40%. And so
this is
even like, hey, he's been better defensively. A lot of people are not giving him credit defensively in the ice. I was like, that's a Harden. These are all the same arguments he made for Harden 7 years ago. And by the way, they can all be true. Yeah, he's an incredible player, but is he more consistently incredible, whether it's Harden or Doncic, than Jokic, than Wembanyama, than Shea, and if it weren't for a stupid rule, Cade Cunningham? And my answer would be no.
Well, isn't this all an argument for shortening the season that we wouldn't have this memory hole phenomenon that Jason's talking about?
You just
this amnesia of what the Lakers were for like 50% of the season.
Wait, what about the do you guys see Mark Cuban's thing? So Mark
cut it down to 40.
The 40-minute rule back, but he broke it down in a way so you take those 8 minutes multiply 82. There's your 20 games. Voila.
Yep.
I was like, what?
You're welcome, nerds. Fixed it.
So insane, man.
Jason, Wemby started the whole campaigning thing, and his points were excellent, and he's clearly the most valuable politician, but how much do you think that should play a part in the decision? Like advocating for yourself, media perception, like quotes in the media, stuff like that.
0, frankly.
Okay.
Like, I just think every personality, like, I don't think Shea should get credit for playing the cool guy last night after either. Like, I think it should be strictly a basketball argument. And like, I think one of the things that I think is fascinating about the Spurs case too is like, I know that there was a range of opinions about the Spurs. I was actually on the lower end with them and I ended up being spectacularly wrong. But even the people that were high on the Spurs were like, maybe they'll be the 4 seed or the 5 seed. Like, they'll be above the play-in this year and they might compete in a first round series. Like,
50
nobody
wins
saw them. Yeah. They're churning out wins like nobody's business. And they are like a legitimate, like 1 in 3 shot of being the 1 seed. If the Lakers can get one of these games against the Thunder, it's basically like the Thunder drop one more game and the Spurs win out, they get the 1 seed. Right. And like, Wemby's just a very eloquent, very smart guy, and he laid out his case very well. But it's a strong case, which is essentially like, I think what gets really difficult with Wemby is it kind of reminds me of Nikola Jokic's case, where with Nikola Jokic, there wasn't some obvious thing you were watching like a James Harden averaging 37 points per game that was like this screams off of the stat sheet, screams off of the screen type of thing. With Jokic, it was very much like actually, there's an overall team impact with him that is difficult to quantify unless you really dig into the fact that this offense just scores a ton. I'd argue the same thing with Steph. Like, I think Steph Curry has been one of the most fascinating, underrated players in the league over the last few years because he, like, everyone just looks at his points per game dropping and they're like, oh, Steph is washed. And it's like, are you aware that when Steph's on the floor this year, they have a 119 offensive rating? That garbage roster, they have a 119 offensive rating when Steph's on the floor this year per cleaning the glass when you filter out the garbage time, including the stretch. If you look at last year where Jimmy Butler was only a part of the team post-deadline, they had a 120 offensive rating with Steph Curry on the floor because, once again, just the simple fact of Steph running around on the floor and everyone being terrified of him is still one of the most effective drivers of quality shots in the NBA. And so there's so much with Wemby that I think breaks people's brains because he averages 24 points and 3 assists. And they see that and they go, how in the world? And I love Nick Wright. And I do actually agree with Nick Wright's point that Wemby should not be getting best player in the world consideration, because every single year I sit down and I watch that opening weekend of playoff basketball. Every single year I'm like, oh yeah, this is different. It's like so much more physical. Like it's hilariously more physical. And so
was the catchphrase last year?
Do I think Wemby's going to be great as a playoff player? Yes. But I think it's okay to be like, let's make him do it first before we literally give him the crown. So like, I agree with Nick in that sense. But like when Nick was like, oh, it's because Wemby hasn't been able to consistently score 30, I just disagree with that as a thought process. Like I think when you dig into it, this was a team that people had somewhere between the 5 and 8 seed in the Western Conference coming into the season, most people, in terms of what they expected. And instead they're threatening for the number 1 overall seed, despite having a rookie in their rotation and a second-year player in their rotation and a lineup that doesn't have a ton of shooting. And like, really, like you're not going to quantify any of their other rotation players as a top 25 player. The closest guy is De'Aaron Fox, and he's probably in that 25 to 30 range. And, you know, Steph Castle, depending on what he does in the postseason, maybe he'll be viewed as a top 20 player next year. But like, he doesn't have some obvious other ace in the hole on the roster. And yet when he's on the floor, they are as dominant as any great team has ever been. And when he's off, they are negative. They're negative. And he is doing more. In just his minutes, he has accomplished enough to take a team that's negative when he's off and make them a legitimate threat for the number 1 overall seed. So like,
no, see, you're way off. When he's off the floor, when he doesn't play, Jason, don't you know that they're 10-5? The Spurs are. This is Luka. Luka could have had the only MVP case where when he's off the floor, his team has a losing record, but they blew it. They absolutely blew it on Monday night. So it is crazy. So I picked Wemby before the season to win MVP. I did it last year too, just because I think he's that incredible and transcendent of a player. But it is wild. Jason, you keep saying per minute, and I think that's his best case, is just like his impact when he's on the floor. He is 4th on his own team in minutes per game. Did you realize that Devin Vassell, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle all average more minutes per game than who many people believe is the greatest player in the world, and he only plays like 29 minutes, and a lot of that is because they're blowing teams out of the building, and he doesn't need to play in the fourth quarters, which is the same argument for Shea. But he's in a position right now where he's not going to even come close to 2,000 minutes. And it's a bizarre thing to see when Victor Wembanyama is as good as he is, and yet he's maybe playing 30 minutes a night. Maybe.
I think that would be a detriment to him if I just simply am arguing that his per minute effectiveness is so outrageous that it cancels that out. And like, again, Giannis won MVP playing barely over 30 minutes per game in 2020, playing against a substantially worse schedule. Like that was an extremely weak bottom of the Eastern Conference that year. Like you got that bottom 7 or 8 teams was like a guaranteed 20-point W that year in the Eastern Conference. And again, the Bucks were playing all those teams 3 or 4 times. Like legitimately a huge chunk of their schedule was getting bolstered by him just beating the crap out of bad teams. And it's like, in this packed Western Conference, Wemby's been able to accomplish this in that small sample. And like, I don't think I said this on my show the other day. I think if San Antonio gets the 1 seed, he should win MVP. Because when you actually quantify the simple fact that he would get the number 1 overall seed in the NBA, despite the team being negative when he's off the floor because of what he's able to accomplish on a per minute basis, while also having the huge feather in his cap of like taking a juggernaut OKC team and not just beating them, but embarrassing them multiple times and utterly dominating that individual matchup. Like I think I always look at the MVP case as like a 3-pronged approach. Like who's the best player, who's the best player on the best team, and who's the most valuable player. He's got the clear value case just because like when you're second in raw plus minus and 103rd in minutes played, that's like insane. That is like absolutely outrageous. So you've got the value piece there. The who's the best player case, like if he gets the number 1 overall seed with the amount of, and that Spurs team is very good, but like obviously that Thunder team is really good and he won that individual matchup. And you have the fact that he has the best record in the NBA. It just becomes an extremely compelling case.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, Joker beat out Shea and they had the same record. And then the next year, the Thunder are clearly the 1 seed and Shea wins the MVP. I think it does absolutely provide a lane for Wemby to steal it if he can get the 1 seed. If he doesn't,
it won't even be close. It won't even be close. If the Spurs win the number 1 overall seed, he will win it.
Luka would need to do that for him.
Yeah. Yeah. But so that's part of the case, though, that I think is fascinating. So if part of the shine on Shea's case is like, I don't know about you guys, but I think Shea's the best player I watched this year, probably. And I think a lot of people agree. He's got this aura around him that's like, maybe he's just the best dude. But like if Luka rolls up into his building on Thursday and outplays him, and then they beat him again in LA, all of a sudden that shines off the apple for Shea. And that kind of knocks him in that best player in the world kind of segment of the debate. So like, it's kind of interesting because yeah, you're right. Like I don't think Luka has any shot to win MVP, but I do think he has a shot to win Wemby MVP.
He can take it away from Shea.
This is
philosophically, how do you guys feel about like the whole, should it go to the best player and the best team versus most valuable? Because like my whole thing with that, my 10-second take on it is like, just because Russ won it in 2017 doesn't mean he should have.
Right. But
I voted for Russ in 2017, and the reasoning that I had was I know his team was like 45 wins, 47 wins, something like that. There was a 6 seed. I said, I saw something that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, which is someone averaging a triple-double. I didn't realize at the time the game...
His candidacy would be about clutch scoring, not that, though. Like, that year, his clutch scoring was outrageous.
Right. Well, it's a criteria thing. The point is, if you're strictly speaking most valuable, I mean, you were right. That's what I mean by the philosophical conversation. Would you guys rather have it go to, like, an MVP candidate on a top seed or, like, strictly the most valuable player?
I've always gone with you have to have been in the conversation for one of the best records. Like if you're out of it, I can accept that you're an amazing player. I cannot give you MVP unless you do something that just breaks my brain.
Okay, does Jokic leading the league in rebounds and assists per game, would that break your brain?
For the first time ever.
And shooting 58% from the field and being top 5 in scoring and shooting almost 40% from 3, or if not 40+% from 3.
Having his best statistical season.
And also, his team isn't that far off, right? Like, that's the other thing. It's like, yeah, they are the 4 seed, right? But they're like, what?
They're a game and a half back of the Lakers.
From the 3 seed, right? So it's like, okay, that would enter the conversation for me in terms of candidacy, right? But if they were to drop, like if they were to be the 5 or the 6, and I mean that in terms of not just the seeding, but also that gap in from you being towards the top, I don't know if I could. Even as I acknowledge that that's pretty fucking crazy what he's doing.
Jason, I appreciate you coming on here and waxing poetic about 2 topics that I feel like we're already keeled over at this point. We got like 5-6 more games to go on the season, and it should be fun. We'll see how this MVP shakes out. You want to give a plug all the stuff that you're doing these days, and appreciate you coming on, man.
First of all, thanks for having me. I had a ton of fun. It was good to see you guys. And it's just been a very interesting debate that I've been very keyed up on in the last couple of days. So I've enjoyed the platform to get and debate it with you guys. Hoops Tonight on YouTube. Obviously, I'm most active on Twitter at @JasonLT. But yeah, we just do daily NBA content. And then when we get in the postseason, we do reactions after literally every single game live on YouTube at night. So get ready for that playoff kind of shift in schedule as we shift tonight. But again, I had a ton of fun. It was good to see you guys.